In the Stone Age, if you couldn't run, hunt, or protect yourself, your very existence could mean the doom of your entire tribe. Back then, the average life expectancy barely reached 30 years due to disease, predators, and fatal injuries. But what if against all odds you managed to survive to the age of 50 or 60? In a world that was constantly on the move to escape death, and your body was now completely unable to keep up, what would your tribe do with you? Did they leave the elderly to die of hunger and cold? Or did they have more terrifying ways of getting rid of them? The answer isn't as black and white as you might think. Look around you, because our journey into the depths of human history begins right now. Let's start with the dark reality that shocked anthropologists. In extremely harsh environments, like the ancient Inuit tribes in frozen regions or certain nomadic primitive tribes, there was a prevalent custom known as senicide, or the altruistic self-sacrifice of the elderly. When food became incredibly scarce, and the tribe was forced to travel massive distances through snow to track game, a person who couldn't walk became a burden that could cause the children and youth to starve to death. Here, the elderly would perform an act that was both heroic and terrifying. They would ask the tribe to leave them behind in a cave with just a little firewood and water, and the rest would move on. The old man or woman would sit quietly, waiting for the freezing cold or predators to end their life, knowing that by dying, they were giving their grandchildren a chance to live. In other cultures, it was the eldest son who would lead his father into the forest and leave him there at the father's own request. This seems brutal by our modern standards, but it was the law of survival. But wait, was this always the rule? In 1957, in Shanidar Cave in Iraq, scientists discovered a Neanderthal skeleton they named Shanidar 1. This single individual completely changed everything we thought we knew about ancient human. When scientists examined his bones, they discovered something truly astounding. This man lived to be about 45 years old. An incredibly advanced age for that era, but he had suffered horrific injuries. He had taken a massive blow to the head in his youth that left him blind in his left eye. His right arm was paralyzed and amputated at the elbow. He walked with a severe limp, and he was partially deaf. This meant he couldn't hunt, gather food, or defend himself for many years. Yet, he lived until his hair turned gray. How? The answer is simple. His tribe fed him, protected him, cleaned his wounds. This leads scientists to ask a very clever question. Why would a tribe go through the trouble of feeding someone who couldn't hunt? Was it purely out of emotion? Science says no. There was a massive strategic payoff. In evolutionary biology, there is a famous theory called the grandmother hypothesis. Humans are one of the very few species on Earth where females live for many years after their reproductive age. Why? Because grandmothers and elderly fathers were the secret weapon for human survival. When the youth went out on dangerous hunting expeditions that could last for days, who protected the children? Who fed them? The grandparents. Having a grandmother in the cave meant the mother could recover faster after childbirth and gather plants more efficiently, which led to an increase in birth rates and child survival. Grandparents were the very first childcare and nursery system in human history. Furthermore, let's remember something crucial. In the Stone Age, there was no writing, no internet, and no phones to record data. All human knowledge was stored in only one place, inside the minds of the elderly. An old person in a tribe was essentially the Google of the Stone Age. They were the only ones with a memory spanning 50 years. If a killer drought struck that the youth had never witnessed, the elder was the one who remembered where the hidden underground water sources were because they had survived the exact same crisis in their childhood. They knew how the stars moved to predict the seasons, and they were the pharmacists who knew which herbs cured a stomachache and which ones killed in seconds. Tribes that preserved their elders possessed a massive cognitive advantage that allowed them to survive, while tribes that disposed of them died off during the first natural disaster because they lacked experience.